Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we pull apart complex research to get you truly informed. Today, we're looking at a really vital role in public service: the city manager.
Right, this is the person behind the scenes, juggling everything from budgets to bridges, often caught between elected officials and the day-to-day running of a city.
Exactly. It's a super high-pressure job. Leadership is constantly tested. But, how often do we actually stop and think about what makes someone stay in a role like that for the long haul?
We tend to assume certain things, right? Like charisma or being super effective means you'll last longer.
Yeah, but what if the reality is, well, a lot more surprising?
It's a really key question because that leadership stability, it directly affects how well a community functions. Our usual ideas about great leaders often miss the unique political stuff happening in city government.
And those dynamics are often what decide if a manager sticks around or not.
Precisely.
And that's exactly why today we're doing a deep dive into George L. Hanbury II, 2001 dissertation. It's called The Function of Leadership Styles and Personality Types Among City Managers, an analysis of fit and tenure.
And it's not just about who's a quote-unquote good leader. It's about understanding what makes them stick, what leads to tenure.
So our mission today is to unpack Hanbury's research. We want to cut through some common assumptions and find out what really predicts how long a city manager stays.
Yeah, we're talking leadership styles, personality types, even the demographics of the city itself. Get ready for some real aha moments about what fit actually means in public administration.
Definitely. And when we say it's high stakes, well, the numbers back that up. You might be surprised. But city management is seen as a pretty volatile field.
There was a 1995 survey by the ICMA, that's the International City County Management Association.
Right.
And it found the average time a city manager stayed in their job was just 6.4 years. The median was even lower, only 5 years.
Wow. So half of them were leaving within 5 years. That tells you a lot of managers aren't putting down deep roots in one place.
Exactly. And that short tenure is actually what got Hanbury interested in the first place. He was a city manager himself for 30 years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he mentions his own experience, an untimely termination from his first city management job. That really sparked his curiosity about why some leaders stay and others go.
That personal connection definitely adds weight, doesn't it? Gives it that real-world edge.
Absolutely. It makes the research feel grounded.
So fueled by that experience, Hanbury really focused on this idea of fit. That became the central concept.
And he didn't just leave it vague. He operationally defined fit as basically your years of service, your tenure in your current city.
Okay, so tenure equals fit for the purpose of this study.
Right. He described it as that delicate balance or pivotal point a manager occupies, between the council's democratic demands and the professional needs of the organization.
That balancing act, it really is where the rubber meets the road.
So the core hypothesis was, is tenure a function of things like leadership effectiveness, personality compatibility with the council, your performance reviews? He wanted to see if these things actually predicted how long you'd stay.
Okay, so how did he measure all this? How do you measure something like fit or that delicate balance?
Well, he started with a national survey, sent it out to city managers in small, medium, and large cities across the U.S.
And the response rate?
Impressive, actually. He sent out 600 surveys and got a 52% response rate back.
Wow, that's really good for this kind of research. Makes the findings pretty robust, statistically speaking.
Definitely. And the tools he used were quite specific. For personality, he used the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI. Most people have heard of it.
Right, the MBTI. Extrovert, introvert, sensing, intuition.
Thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving. Exactly, those 4 dimensions. The goal was to see if those sort of inborn, natural ways of using a particular mental tool, as MBTI describes them, connected to tenure.
Okay, so personality type. What about leadership style?
For that, he used something called the Leader Behavior Analysis to Self, or LBAII self.
LBAII self. Got it.
This tool measures leadership styles, focusing on 2 key things: flexibility, like how often you switch between different styles, and effectiveness, basically, how appropriate your chosen style was for a specific situation.
So not just what style, but how well you adapt it. Makes sense.
And beyond those psychometric tests, he gathered a ton of demographic data.
Okay, like what?
Info on the managers themselves, age, race, years of experience, education level, and also data about the city's population size, median income, racial makeup, percentage of foreign-born residents. all sorts of things.
And crucially,
He also collected self-reported performance evaluations from their city councils.
Yeah.
So an external measure of how they were doing, at least from the council's perspective.
that seems really important, getting that outside view.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, to add another layer, he did 3 deep dive case studies down in Broward County, Florida.
Qualitative data to go with the quantitative.
Exactly. He interviewed long-tenured city managers and their councils, used the MBTI with them too, just to get a richer first-hand understanding of those dynamics, see that delicate balance in action.
Okay, sounds like a really thorough methodology, covering lots of angles.
It really was.
Yeah.
Very comprehensive.
All right, so with all that data collected,
Yeah.
what did Hanbury actually find? Because you hinted earlier that some of it was pretty surprising.
Oh, definitely. This is where it gets really fascinating and starts to challenge some common ideas about leadership. Let's start with leadership effectiveness.
Okay. You'd assume more effective leaders stay longer.
That's what intuition tells you. But the study found a statistically significant, and pretty strong actually, with a p-value of 0.001 negative correlation between high leadership effectiveness scores on that LBAII tool and tenure.
Wait, negative. So the more effective the leader was rated by the tool.
The shorter their tenure tended to be.
Get out! That's completely counterintuitive. Why would that be?
It's a real paradox, isn't it? The study doesn't definitively say why, but you can speculate. Maybe highly effective leaders, as defined by the tool, are change agents.
Right, they push hard, make big changes.
And maybe that creates friction, rocks the boat too much for the political environment, perhaps. It suggests that sometimes being perceived as too effective might actually work against your longevity in that specific context.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge finding right there. What about personality? Did certain MBTI types stick around longer?
Yes, this was another really significant finding. While lots of different personality types were in the mix, 2 specific dimensions showed a statistically significant positive correlation with longer tenure.
Okay, which ones?
Introversion, that had a very strong link, P000, and perceiving P, also a significant link. Introversion of perceiving. So I and P, can you break that down for us? What does that look like in practice? Sure. So introversion, in the MBTI sense, isn't just about being shy. It's more about where you get your energy and where you focus your attention. Introverts tend to focus on their inner world of ideas, process internally, maybe think things through more before speaking.
Okay. And perceiving.
Perceiving types generally prefer flexibility and spontaneity. They like to keep their options open, adapt to changing situations, maybe feel less comfortable with rigid plans and firm, quick decisions. They're more adaptable.
So the managers who tended to stay longer were more likely to be internally focused processors and adaptable types.
Statistically, yes. It suggests that maybe that ability to reflect internally and adapt fluidly to, let's face it, often unpredictable political situations might be more crucial for longevity than being outwardly assertive or locking into decisions early.
That's fascinating, especially because, didn't you say the most common types in the sample were actually judging types?
Exactly. The dominant types found were ISTJ, ENTJ, and ESTJ, all J's types, judging types who tend to prefer structure, plans, decisiveness.
So the types most common in the job weren't the ones linked to staying longer. It was the opposite trait, perceiving, that helped with tenure.
It really highlights a potential mismatch, doesn't it? Or maybe suggests that the less common P types have a particular kind of resilience in that environment.
And you also mentioned one type was completely missing.
Right. The ESFJ type, extroverted, sensing, feeling, judging, didn't appear at all in the manager survey results.
Huh. Interesting gap. Okay, so introversion and perceiving link to longer tenure. What about the actual leadership styles people use? Did that predict anything?
Well, there was definitely a dominant style. A huge majority, 78%, reported their primary style as S3.
And S3 is?
High supportive and low directive behavior. Think facilitator, collaborator, empowerer.
Okay, and their secondary style?
Often S4, which is low supportive and low directive, even more hands-off like delegating.
So generally supportive, less directive approaches were common. But did using those styles or being flexible between styles predict tenure?
That's the key question. And the answer was no. Leadership style flexibility was not found to be a statistically significant predictor of tenure.
Another assumption bites the dust? You'd think flexibility would be key.
You would, wouldn't you? It suggests that while managers might prefer these supportive styles, just being able to switch styles isn't what keeps them in the job long term.
So what about how managers felt? Did they feel like they fit in? Did they think their council liked their style?
Yes, the perception versus reality question. And here's another disconnect. Overwhelmingly, managers felt good about their fit.
Like high percentages?
Yeah, 95% felt their personality fitted council expectations,
Yeah.
and another 95% felt their council valued their leadership style. They felt pretty secure.
Okay, but
But those perceptions, statistically, they did not predict actual tenure.
wow. So feeling like you fit doesn't mean you actually, well, will fit long enough to stay.
Exactly. There's a clear gap between that internal feeling of alignment and the external reality of job longevity, at least according to this data.
That's a sobering thought for anyone in a leadership role, really. So if perceptions don't matter statistically, and high effectiveness might even be negatively correlated, what did positively predict staying longer?
This one might seem almost too simple after all that complexity, but it's crucial. Your actual performance evaluation.
From the council.
Yes. A better performance evaluation from the city council showed a very strong, statistically significant positive correlation with longer tenure.
So at the end of the day, getting good marks from the boss in this case, the council is what counts for staying power.
It seems that objective feedback, or at least documented feedback reported in the survey, carries significantly more weight than subjective feelings or even measured effectiveness when it comes to tenure.
Okay, that makes a certain kind of straightforward sense, even amidst all the other surprising stuff. Were there other variables the study looked at beyond personality and leadership?
Oh, yes. Several other factors turned out to be significant predictors of tenure as well, some also quite counterintuitive.
Lay it on us. What else matters?
Okay, get this. More years of experience as a city manager was statistically significant, but negatively correlated with tenure in the current city. Teethy way.
Wait, more experience means less time in the current job. How does that work?
It's another paradox. It might suggest that experienced managers are more mobile. Maybe they leverage their experience to move to other, perhaps better, opportunities. Or maybe cities seeking change specifically hire experienced managers for shorter-term transformation projects.
So gaining wisdom by moving around might be good for your overall career, but it doesn't mean you'll stay put longer in any one place.
That seems to be the implication. It points towards a potentially transient professional culture for some.
Which ties into another finding, right? About the number of cities served.
Exactly. Sort of the flip side of the coin. The total number of cities served over a manager's career was statistically significant and positively correlated with tenure in the current role.
Okay, hold on. More experience in total is negative for current tenure, but having served in more cities is positive. That seems contradictory.
It does seem tricky at first glance. Hanbury suggests this might relate to that move out to move up ethic common in the field. Perhaps managers who have made several strategic moves end up finding a better long-term fit eventually, or maybe surviving multiple city environments builds a certain kind of resilience that helps them last longer once they land in a suitable place. It's complex.
It really is. It paints a picture of career paths that aren't necessarily about climbing a ladder in one place.
Right. Though it's worth noting the average manager in the survey had only served in about 2.15 cities. So it's not like everyone is job hopping constantly, but the statistical correlation is there.
Okay, what about demographics? Age, race.
Age was a factor.
Yeah.
Older city managers tended to have longer tenure. That was statistically significant and positive.
Makes sense, perhaps closer to retirement, more settled, and race.
Both white race, P-001, and black race, P-002, were found to be statistically significant and positively correlated with tenure.
So for both groups studied in this way, race was positively linked with tenure.
Correct. The findings suggest that, based on this data for tenure, managers identified within these racial categories were being hired and retained effectively.
Okay. And then there were the city demographics themselves.
Yes, and these are findings we need to state carefully, just reporting what the study found.
Understood.
Yeah.
Just the facts from the research.
The study found that cities with a higher percentage of white population had a negative correlation with the manager's tenure. Similarly, cities with a higher percentage of residents not born in the USA also showed a statistically significant negative correlation with manager tenure.
So longer tenure was associated with cities that were more racially diverse and had fewer foreign-born residents, according to this specific study's correlations.
According to the correlations found in this study, yes. Again, the research reported these statistical relationships without providing causal explanations within the dissertation itself.
Right. Important context. So pulling all this together, wow. It really challenges a lot of assumptions.
It absolutely does. The biggest takeaway, I think, is that our gut feelings about what makes a leader successful and, crucially, what makes them stay in a demanding role like city manager, well, those feelings can be pretty off base.
Yeah, it's clearly not just about being the loudest voice or the most, quote, effective change agent in the room.
No. Qualities like internal reflection, that introversion link, and adaptability, the perceiving link, seem to play a surprisingly significant role in longevity. And, of course, getting those good performance reviews from the council, that seems absolutely key.
So we've done this deep dive into city manager tenure, and the insights are genuinely striking, often running counter to what you expect. Your feeling of fit doesn't seem to predict much statistically.
Right. But those actual performance evaluations, huge predictor.
And maybe most surprising, being seen as highly effective by standard leadership metrics or having lots of general experience, that might actually correlate with a shorter stay in one city.
Well, those perhaps quieter traits, like introversion and perceiving adaptability, seem to help you stick around longer.
It really underscores that leadership is so much more than just technical skill. Hanbury called it a psychological process for all involved.
Exactly. It's about understanding those habits of mind, how we interpret our daily experiences, and how that meshes or clashes with the whole system, the council, the staff, the community.
That interplay of personality, style, external factors, it creates this really unique, sometimes paradoxical landscape for success and staying power.
Absolutely.
So thinking about our listeners, what does this all mean for you, whether you're actually a city manager or a leader in a completely different field, or really just anyone trying to navigate a complex role?
Well, it really pushes you towards self-awareness, doesn't it? Understanding your own tendencies, your own style, and maybe appreciating different styles, different personality types more.
Like surrounding yourself with people who complement you, who have those opposite types Hanbury mentioned, so you can see problems from all angles.
Precisely. Building that true, lasting fit might require embracing that diversity of thought and approach. This research, focused on city managers, really offers lessons for anyone in leadership.
It highlights that navigating complexity, managing these paradoxes like effectiveness, potentially shortening tenure, that's maybe the real art of leadership today.
Couldn't agree more.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. What does it truly mean to lead when being highly effective in the traditional sense might actually shorten your time in a role, but a more introverted, adaptable approach could help you stay? How can you build that self-awareness and maybe even bring in those who see the world differently to not just solve problems, but to build a foundation for lasting success and genuine fit? It makes you think, doesn't it?